you for joining us tonight. We are joined by the righteous, very own Vincent. How you doing, man?
Oh, good, man. Thank you guys for having me. I saw the recent one you guys did with Vita. It was good. I liked it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it was really cool getting to speak to you.
I'm sorry that I know we kind of like talked about doing this like before, and I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm so bad with checking the messages on my Twitter that I totally forget. So don't.
We get it.
Hopefully you didn't take it to heart. Here I am.
Well, happy you're joining us now. We got to speak to you last time, which was actually one of our highest downloaded audio podcasts that we released that year.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah,
cool.
So it's great to get you back on.
Yeah.
I know last time you came on, we spoke more about the influences on you in Ring of Honor and how horror movies influenced you. And, I found that really interesting because you're a big horror movie geek. You like your horror movies.
Horror movie, true crime, like all that kind of stuff. I love it. It
seems like everyone in Righteous though has that in common as well.
Oh yeah, I think that, I think that's kind of what makes it kind of authentic and natural for us to kind of have that chemistry that we all have like very similar common interests. I mean, myself and Bateman, can talk hours about the kind of stuff that we like. So. But yeah, man, I dig what's going on right now with us, and I think it's only going to get better, as time goes on. So, it's always a growing process, but it's fun. You know what I mean? That's what makes it kind of cool.
Yeah, well, I think to Vita, and I'll tell you the same thing. I mean, pro wrestling at the moment, I think the Righteous are the best thing in pro wrestling at the minute.
Wow. Consider yourself a member then, man.
Welcome
to the family.
I think you guys are awesome, but I love everything about it. The feel, the vibe, the entrance music, the look, the lot. I mean, obviously when you was getting into the business, you was in Ring of Honor, you was in the Kingdom. Did you always want to have like your own stable? Was the Righteous something you always wanted to be, to have?
It's something that like we just talked about growth, you know what I mean, and everything is like timing, so I think for me personally, like I needed to kind of figure out how to bring my interests or kind of find a way to express myself and who I am. And it took a lot of time, but I think, it happened because you mentioned the Kingdom when I first came in here, and it happened kind of like midway. I think I kind of started to feel that process out, and then it kind of grew from there and evolved from there. And now I'm more comfortable than I've ever been in pro wrestling, and I've been around pro wrestling for a little while, and that was kind of always my thing, was kind of trying to find a way to, show people who I am and what my interests are, and, have that kind of feel for it. So it was a growing process, and it took a lot of time, like timing, like I said, but, I'm glad it's kind of got where it's, gotten to. So
yeah, you can tell you're all having fun with it though. You can tell you're all on the same page,
Yeah, man, I mean, I just think like it's just us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like and being able to and there was other candidates, like Bateman was definitely a no-brainer. I think awesome. Bateman is a very talented dude in departments, and then Vita I wasn't really like familiar with, and then I ended up coming across her stuff in some sort of way. She did a lot of that cool like that acrobat contortionist like circuit stuff, and I just thought that was really different and kind of cool, you know what I mean? And I think like especially like when she tied up Taven in the ropes with her like this like funky way of moving her body most people cannot do. And I thought like those kind of things are so different and interesting that I thought she kind of, fit the bill, so I think
she brings something to the group that's unique. And like you said, with the way she held Taven in the ropes, that's one of the only tied up in the rope spots I've ever seen where it looks like the person really couldn't escape. Like, he was not getting out of that.
No, he wasn't. And just looking at him in the face, I could tell like he was slowly about to pass out. So it was, it was cool, man. And I think like it kind of elevated Vita a little bit personally in that she had her own moment on Final Battle, which it was pretty cool,
How important has it been as well? It's like you said with the Righteous, you're being yourself a lot. You're all being like yourself. How important is the creative freedom? Because it clearly looks like Ring of Honor allow you that freedom. How important has that been to you?
Yeah, it's honestly one of my favorite things about Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? Giving that creative freedom to kind of, throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks and kind of play with a bunch of different things and see what you can come up with yourself. And, because I mean, us in pro wrestlers, I think like we have these creative visions. We have our own visions of what we think works for ourselves, and, for everybody. I think having that creative freedom is one of my favorite things about Ring of Honor, and being able to go out there and not have to, nothing has to be forced. Like everything can come off, authentic, or however you envision your vision, and no one else can ruin it. You know what I mean? Because that's your vision. So if that's the vision you have and you can run with it, that's one of my favorite things that you're able to do in Ring of Honor.
How? Just a quick question as well. The theme music. Who does the theme music? Because I really want that as my ringtone. I absolutely love it.
So, honestly, man, I love it too. I love it too. You know what I mean? And it's done by Hot Tag Media. Is the person. And I remember it was kind of like back when I was doing the Kingdom, and I had a music made, and it's actually, you can hear it in a match against Roosh at some point. I think it was 2018 or so. It's on YouTube. It's a fan cam, but like you can hear that music. And it had like kind of more of a like John Carpenter-ish feel to it, and it kind of wasn't really like, I wasn't digging it. You know what I mean? Like it was cool, but it wasn't cool. Like it didn't work for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So someone else could probably get away with it pretty well. But then I was like, I don't know, man. Like I kind of told them, kind of like, give me some sort of like rhythm, man. I'm into this. Like I love that like old like 60s 70s like country-ish vibe and that feel like a Charlie Manson like tune to it. And he sent that back, man, and I couldn't have been more happy. I was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is it. You know what I mean? So, and I fell in love with it. I love it. I think it's he hit a home run with that one, man. I'm very grateful for it too, because it's definitely the tune I was looking for. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. It's like as soon as it hits, the thing is,
like
the righteous are coming.
Yeah, and that was the thing too. Right before the pandemic kind of took over the world, we right at that last kind of tail end of having a crowd, like I could start to, they start to feel it, and the people kind of like, kind of started snapping the fingers along to, because it's kind of hard not to. You know what I mean? So. It's unfortunate the pandemic hit, but hopefully we can get back to that, and I can, everybody can get back on board with it again. But it's definitely an awesome tune that, like, as far as, as long as I've been wrestling, it's by far the best thing I've ever had. So kudos to Hot Tag Media for coming up.
They do some great work, the Hot Tag.
Yeah, they're great stuff.
I did find myself doing it though. So when Final Battle and you came out, I was doing it along. I absolutely loved it.
I do it, man. You got to do it with me.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, absolutely. But go on, Callum.
I was going to say, speaking of, hopefully soon, when things are starting to get back to normal. I know it's become a cliche term at this point, when things get back to normal, but hopefully we'll be sooner rather than later. What is the next goal for the Righteous? I know it's a very open, vague question, but there's so much possibility for you in Ring of Honor as a group. I mean, do you have your eyes on the World Championship? Is there, goals to just collect every championship there? Or is it not even about titles in Ring of Honor for you guys?
Well, it's for sure. I mean, the Ring of Honor World Championship is something that I have my eyes on, right? And like, I think most of the guys over at Ring of Honor would probably tell you that, you know what I mean? So, but for me, 2019 Final Battle, I beat a former world champion. So, I think I could, I think I have no problem being Ring of Honor world champion. It's a goal. It's definitely where my eyes are focused on right now. And if I can, lead the ones with me and, see where we end up, I even if, myself and Bateman became Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, I do that too. I could dig that. But, right now, it's, getting Taven off my back first. And then my eyes are definitely set on the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Speaking of Taven, I mean, he's definitely still got his eyes on you too. I think he's out for revenge, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing to make sure you can get rid of the Taven problem?
He, like, the whole Taven thing, man, like anything that we do, I mean, he just keeps falling into a trap on his own. So I just have to,
you don't have to do anything.
He's just falling into every plan that's set up. So, you know what I mean? If he wants to keep chasing me, that's fine, because there'll be there'll be somewhat of a bear trap in every step that he takes, and he's trying to reach me. So he can keep having fun with it, but it's only gonna lead to. I mean, look at Bennett. Bennett came in. He's happy. He's back at Ring of Honor. And he's already on the injured list because of Taven. So
yeah,
everybody points the finger at me. I'm not the bad guy.
No, he brought it on himself when you put it like that, right?
Right, of course. But definitely the Ring of Honor World Title. That's a total focus of mine.
We've spoken to a few people recently in the very recent months. Shane Taylor, Brody King. These are all people who also have their eyes set on the Ring of Honor World Championship. Very good talents. I mean, how do you feel about the competitive main event scene in Ring of Honor and the people that are going for the World Championship? Do you feel like they're an obstacle, or is that something you can overcome?
Of course, I think there's many obstacles. You know what I'm saying? And that's I think makes this so great, though. You know what I mean? It's like when you overcome the obstacles. But I think like a Shane Taylor and a Brody King are those are big challenges. But I've had big challenges put in front of me my entire life. So, there's no doubt that I can overcome those kind of challenges as well, but I think it makes for, when you have challenges like that, it makes something great, right? So, as far as like, the Ring of Honor in general, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could dig like a Vincent versus any of those guys, for the Ring of Honor World Title, or to, head towards the Ring of Honor World Title. But definitely for sure obstacles, but I mean, that's the whole name of the game, right? Is just getting by those.
It's the reason you're there, right? In Ring of Honor.
For sure.
Going back to Final Battle as well, like we said, also Mike Bennett coming back and Taven, the history. How important has it been for you to sort of like, obviously the culmination of that storyline? I mean, Ring of Honor do it so well, the long-term storytelling. I've been hooked and invested on that storyline more than anything. I mean, what's it like being for you to obviously have that storyline with those guys and sort of come full circle almost?
It's cool because there's a authenticity of there's history, there's real history from, like, I mean, it's crazy because I go back to like God, even before I started, I knew Bennett, because we all come from the Massachusetts area. So we all kind of came up in the same time. So for this to, even when Mike returned and I'm waiting in the ring for him and watching him come down, it's like, wow, this was just like being at home at one point. You know what I mean? And now we're kind of like, fighting for blood at this point on the Ring of Honor stage. So it's definitely it's great. You know what I mean? It's great to have something like that to kind of sink your teeth into and have it kind of like a long haul that it's been, you know what I mean? And and I'm having fun with it.
Oh, dude, I had goosebumps. I mean, I'm so invested in that storyline. It's been an absolute pleasure to be.
I'm glad you did it. I'm glad you did.
It's incredible. I mean, we spoke to Kerry Silkin the other week, and we were doing like a little. We asked him like his review of Final Battle, and your match was one of the highlights for him as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kerry's the man. Kerry's the man.
He is the man. He doesn't.
Kerry better be a Vincent fan over a Taven fan, though. I'll tell you that. You hear me, Kerry? But yeah.
I guess a lighter note. Obviously, there's the World Championship. The Righteous are the top dogs for me in that company. But I mean, there is another very evil man there now. I mean, Danhausen. I mean, what if he gets into it?
Danhausen. I love that Danhausen. I think he's very
he's nice, very evil.
Very nice, very evil, very creative. You know what I mean? He works hard to with his brand, and I think it's really cool to see, and it's cool to kind of have him jump on board. But the thing is with us is he's very nice and very evil, and I think sometimes we can just be very evil. So I don't know if he'd have he'd work in the gang, but he's definitely happy to see him kind of get the success that he's been getting, because he works hard at what he does, and I think he's a very creative person, and it's cool. It's very cool, and loves horror movies, you know what I mean? And
you can tell, yeah.
Me and Dan have a special bond as far as when it comes to like horror movies, because there's horror movies out there that a lot of people don't know. You have to kind of be in that like cult. You have to be in that cult following to know like a Creep Show or a Fun House from back in the day, like. You know what I mean? Where a lot of people like, I love horror movies, but you name these movies like I never seen that, and you're like, okay, so you're like half a horror movie fan.
Yeah.
But like me and Danhausen have had conversations and like about those movies that are kind of like, to know them you need to be like that diehard like horror movie fan.
Well, I know
one of those. Oh, go on, Jeremy.
I know Callum mentioned last time you was on. Obviously, our friend Rivers is a big horror buff, and he's in that kind of category as well. Like you can reel off the most random, obscure horror movie, and he'll tell you all about it. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah, exactly the same. We'll have to hook you up.
I'm like a complete nerd when it comes to it, man. I mean, like I can tell you all the different. Like if someone lines up the Jason Voorhees masks, I can tell you which film each of them are from, and they're not drastically different, but each one of them has an alter change in each movie, and same thing goes for Halloween. Each mask had an alter change for each movie, and like it's that stuff like that I like, that's just from being a kid and just kind of growing up and being so into that, that's kind of my thing.
Well, what I'll do as well, obviously we mentioned Rivers is currently redoing the Michael Myers mask, into Callum, I believe.
Yeah, he is.
It's incredible. I'll get a picture of it from him and I'll send it to you so you can see.
Please do. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it looks incredible. It really does.
Awesome.
Yeah, like I said, obviously he does his horror show. We'll have to get you and him together for his horror show at some point. I think you two will have a lot.
He's totally down.
But obviously moving on as well. Obviously with the pandemic, I've got to ask you as well. I mean, how do you find it? Obviously wrestling without no fans compared to with the fans, because Ring of Honor are having no fans at the moment.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes, I just said obviously with the pandemic, obviously there's no fans at the shows. How are you finding it? Obviously, from going to having fans to no fans, is it a big difference for you?
I think it's a big difference for all of us. Because we kind of thrive off that energy from the crowd. You know what I mean? And but at the same time, I think it is different. It's very different. But I think we've kind of adapted to it very well. I think everybody's adapted to it very well, and I think Ring of Honor in general has done such a great job, working with the situation that we're put in. So I think it is different, but I think we're all working very hard, and I think that it's still it's almost like. To me, I think the product has been so good lately, even during this pandemic, that it's pretty awesome to see. You know what I mean? But like most have probably said, we can't wait for the crowds to kind of fill in once again and perform in front of a crowd, because there's nothing like a crowd energy. You know what I mean, when you're there live. But it's worked out pretty good so far. You know what I mean? So it's. I have no complaints. I'm actually, pretty grateful that we're still able to do what we do. You know what I mean? During these hard times, But, hopefully soon enough, we can get people kind of piling back into these buildings. And,
let's face it, right? You're going to want an audience there for when you take out your full revenge and retribution on Matt Taven, right? You don't want to do that without anyone there to witness it.
I wouldn't want to miss me beat him again.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah,
you need an audience for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to put it off a little bit here and there as he's chasing me, just so we can wait for them to see it.
Well, that's his own fault. If he wants to keep delaying it until people are there, he's just going to make a bigger fool of himself when everyone's there to see it.
Right.
And he might never come on the podcast. Now I've said that, but it had to be said.
I owe him for the broken ribs on that his little frog splash to me, the frog splash of death to the outside at Final Battle. So yeah. I owe him that one.
And just imagine when the first night you've got a show and the fans are back. Just imagine everyone in the audience clicking those fingers, man.
Yeah, I can hear it because that's where we left off on. So hopefully we get back and I can hear that again, and maybe to be even bigger this time, because everybody's gonna be excited to be back, just as excited as I am for everybody to be back. So
I had a couple more things before we start to wrap up. One, obviously going way back.
Yeah, no worries.
Doing a little bit of research, and obviously the people you were trained by. One of the people, am I right in thinking it was Spike Dudley?
Spike Dudley, yeah. So I was trained.
What was that like?
I started training in 2009 with Spike. I was already kind of like trickling around the independent scene before Spike with some basic training, but nothing too crazy. And then I ended up going to Spike Dudley's Lockup Academy with Spike Dudley and his assistant trainer at the time, Ryan Waters, who is now the head trainer of the Lockup, which the school is still there to this day. And he has a bunch of great students currently that are kind of like, is his new set of guys to kind of like he can work with. But training under Spike, man, when I went there, it's funny, man, because like we, as wrestling fans, like we always, saw Spike as like almost this crash dummy, right?
Yeah.
And always getting thrown around and always in these like crazy kind of wild matches and stuff. But when I went there, the knowledge that Spike had about wrestling, like just the psychology of wrestling, everything, it blew me away. I'm like, wow, like this guy knows so much more than, you know what I mean? Not that I didn't think he did, but we never saw him in that capacity. You know what I mean? He was never presented as that guy who's like, okay, he's the wrestler. You know what I'm saying? So like when I first went there, and the things that he taught us was just like, it was mind blowing to me, and I was so hooked in on continuing to learn with him from there on out, and even Ryan Drew, who doesn't, to me, Ryan Drew is one of the, he's the best trainer in the New England area. Those guys just have like the psychology and just the wrestling in general is just it was great, man. I was very glad that I made that step to go to Spikes, because I mean, obviously in the long run it kind of helped me out big time. So so Spike was amazing. I thought he was fantastic. It was very
right.
great.
He is.
Yeah, cool to be under that learning tree from him, because I mean, like, I was like, wow, this guy knows so much. You know what I mean? So it was cool, very cool.
Like you said, he's kind of underrated in the sense that he was obviously very good in the ring. I don't think anyone has doubted that.
Right.
But like how much he actually knows, because he went from being like that crash test dummy, but then he was also that storyline where he's cruiserweight champion and the boss of the Dudley Boys.
Right. There's just
how good was that?
There was just stuff that like he would teach that you wouldn't expect Spike Dudley to teach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was just like, you know, and that was cool. You know what I mean? But like, it was just him like, yeah, this is what I'm being put on television to be presented as. So this is what I'm doing. But like, you know, all up here, what he had was just like, it was amazing. So it was really cool to be under that learning tree of Spike.
Yeah, man. And he's such an underrated guy. I mean, I was always a fan of him. It's glad to hear that story, man, because he's someone that he's off the radar almost at the moment. You don't really see or hear about Spike anymore. So it's good to hear that story about him as well.
Yeah, he's not really like hanging around much anymore. But I remember like in 2017, I believe it was either 16 or 17. Maybe it was 16. But I had like a cage match and like back at my home promotion for Top Rope. I had already just started Ring of Honor here, but I was doing some of the indie stuff still. Yeah. And I went back to the Top Rope show as a stadium show, and I did a cage match, and Spike was the special guest ref. So that was pretty cool, because honestly, that was the first time ever, like, you know, training with him. That was the first time I've ever actually done something with him on a show, you know, after all that time training with him. So it was cool. It was cool, though, to have him kind of in there as a special guest ref, you know what I mean? And it was a good time. I actually do the Orange Sunshine that I do for the which is the acid drop, is basically you know what Spike used to do. So
One final thing as well, dude. Obviously, I was doing a bit of research, and you're going to be in a movie, am I right? Jungle Room.
Yes. So.
Tell us about that. No?
Yeah, so Jungle Room is coming out. It's listed as December. Could potentially come out sooner. But I filmed. It was called The Find at one point, and I filmed that about 2 years ago. But then they had like other investors jump in on it, so they changed the name. They have Michael Madsen that's coming on board as like a narrator, and he'll be a part of it. So now it's Jungle Room. And I think they just decided to switch the name because it was taking forever to come out before when they originally planned it to come out as The Find. So they scrap the name and just kind of come up with something new, which would be the Jungle Room. And I filmed like about 2 years ago in this like, it was like a big mansion in Connecticut in the middle of nowhere. Awesome place. It was crazy. Had a bowling alley in it. It was nuts. And I stayed there for like I think maybe like 2 weeks to film all that. But then Verdi Productions, who's in on the project, who's located down where I am in Rhode Island, and they wanted more scenes added to bring a little more violence and more depth to the character of Damon, who I play in the film. But after filming the additional scenes, after doing those 2 weeks, doing the additional scenes, now I understand it makes more sense that they wanted to add this extra stuff in here. It's just going to make the movie better adding these, because it's very powerful scenes that are added to the movie on top of what we did. So yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be great. I think everyone's gonna dig it. But that'll be on like Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Awesome.
And DVD, so yeah.
So we'll be able to watch it then. Hopefully, it's on UK Netflix. We'll be watching it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Are you gonna get that bug as well? Are you gonna be the next Dwayne Johnson, or is this a one-off?
What's that?
I said, are you getting the book for acting as well, or are you gonna be the next Dwayne Johnson?
I wish, man. No one can touch Dwayne, but it would be cool, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was another one of those things. Like, as a kid, I mean, obviously, like speaking about like horror films and stuff, and just loving that stuff. That was one of those things as a kid that would be like, that'd be cool if I could do one of these. You know what I mean? So like to be able to do that. Another one of those things I was like, man, this is pretty awesome. So hopefully at some point down the road, maybe after this comes out, and maybe it could, make something happen and I can be in some other stuff. But I would love to be in some more stuff, man. That'd
maybe
be awesome.
See you in Fast and the Furious 18 at some point.
Yeah.
How many? I've never seen Fast and the Furious.
I really couldn't tell you how many there are now. I don't think I was far off.
One, you know what I mean? Maybe the first one. Maybe I can be in Wrong Turn 45.
Yeah.
There we go, man. Right, Vincent, honestly, man, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. I meant what I said. The Righteous are the best thing in pro wrestling today, man. I'm invested in everything you guys are doing.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
And we'd love to get you back as well. Obviously, we've had Vita. We're going to get Vita back. We'd love to get you back as well, if that's cool.
Yeah. Maybe we can do like a group thing or something when we're together.
Just thinking that. Maybe get the Righteous on.
Yeah, maybe I'll give you guys a heads up when we're all together. We can all kind of jump on together and have a little chat that way.
That would
be
cool.
For sure. Definitely come back.
Hell yeah, man! That would make my day. That would absolutely make my day.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen, man.
Definitely, man. But before we go, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you or any merchandise?
You can find me on Twitter at the Horror King VM, Instagram the Horror King Official, as well as Facebook the Horror King Official, and ROH Pro Shop is where you can get most of my merchandise. I do have a pro wrestling tee shop, but a lot of the newer current stuff is through ROH Pro Shop, and I actually got a new Orange Sunshine T-shirt that's going to be released in the next month. That's pretty sweet. I think everybody's going to dig it. You can get that at the ROH Pro Shop too.
Excellent. Well, it just happened that I've been paid this week, so I may go and buy myself some Righteous merch. So.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, you're a part of the family now, so.
Hell yeah.
Kind of has to.
But, man, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, man.
All right, I'll catch you guys later, man.
See you later,
man. All right, mate.